Oh hi, my name's John, and today we're going to talk about technique on guitar. First of all, fret hand, which for me is my left, okay, and good techniques for your fretting hand. This, at the beginning, it'll be mainly for, well, beginners, but we'll shoot on into the higher realms as well. First things first, fret close to the fret. Put your finger close to the fret, as close as possible. Let me turn this off. As close as possible, because when we're close to the fret, we need minimal pressure. Minimal pressure. When we're a long way from the fret, we need lots of pressure, and the note will sound awful like that. There you go, not great. Close to the fret, we need much, much less pressure, and the less pressure, the better, generally, in life and on a guitar fingerboard. Relaxing as well. If we need minimal pressure, we can relax more, and we ideally want to relax as much as possible. That's one of the golden rules of playing an instrument, I think. So light pressure, close to the fret, relax. Lift your fingers whenever you change strings. I see a lot of beginners do something like they leave a finger down when they change strings. No point in doing that. Once you've played the note, get your finger away from the string. Each note is an individual thing. Obviously you can get both notes ringing out at the same time, but it's very, very hit and miss, and that's a different technique. Not single notes, are they? Individual notes, and then when you change strings, lift your fingers off. Otherwise we're just asking for problems with our fretting hand, accidentally muting strings, etc, etc. Also, one finger per fret when you're playing is generally a good option, I would say. We have 4 fingers, unless you're Django. So 4 fingers covers 4 frets really well. So we can remember all of our scales and melodies just with fingerings, in other words, numbers of your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. As a guitarist, whereas pianists start off with 1, so they always get confused when a pianist starts to learn guitar, because I say finger 1 and they do that. We use our thumb, of course, but in a different way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. First finger, first fret, wherever position we're in. Second finger, second fret, in whatever position we're in. Third finger, third fret. So when we play like the basic major scale, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, we can just remember it as fingering, and we can practice without the guitar. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, rather than use a different fingering every time, or depending on what you feel like. We remember stuff that we play via the fingering. That's the most fundamental thing, what we physically feel. Often guitarists will play things and they don't really know what they're playing, but their fingers are flying around all over the place. The fingers seem to know somehow, regardless of note numbers and notes and sharps and flats and everything else. Other good techniques, or certainly techniques that enable you to play different styles and also to counter tricky picking, etc. Slides. Slide from one note to the next, either up or down. Really great technique. You can only do it on a fretted instrument. Can't do that on a piano. So we have slides up and slides down. We have hammers. I'm sure most of you know this anyway. Pick a string with a finger on, whack a higher finger down. The speed of your finger will change what fret the string's on quick enough so that the string doesn't stop ringing. It's all to do with the speed, not power. The speed enables you to do hammers, not power. If I do it slowly, that's long enough for the string to die. Half and half there, nice and quick. That's a hammer, simple. That's about it really. And a pull, the opposite. But when we pull off, we don't just lift our finger. We drop to the floor, and the sideways movement plucks the lower note. And if we put both together, we get a trill. I think trills are probably the single best technique on guitar, period. Because we're fretting the strings, we're exercising our hand more than one finger. Of course, we can move the fingers around, can't we? We can do whatever we want with our 4 fingers. It's a great exercise for your wrist and for your hand position. I think Hendrix is probably my favourite triller, if that's a word. But of course, all decent guitarists can do great trills. So we can mix them all up, can't we? We can pluck, slide, hammer, and we can do any combination of those. So we could pluck, hammer, slide. Any combination you can think of. I don't know how many there are. Maybe 12 or 15, I don't know. Slide, hammer, pull, pull, slide, plucking first. So pluck, slide, hammer, pull, pluck, hammer, slide, pull, pluck. You get the idea. The more combinations the better, because then we can throw it into our scales and melodies and improvising, and we can move around with ease without actually picking so quickly. Not going crazy picking every single note unless that's your particular style, and if it is, fine, as long as it's for musical reasons. In other words, you think it is conducive to the music rather than you've just seen somebody on YouTube tell you that you should pick every note. There are no secrets on guitar, there are no golden rules even, because all the best players break them anyway. Look at Wes Montgomery. Look at Django, for God's sake. Ultimately, as long as you can play relaxed and your finger movements are minimal-ish, economic in other words, then that will serve you well. And a few thousand hours of practice and you'll probably sound pretty good. Remember also there are multiple ways of playing something on guitar. So if we have a tricky little pattern, there's always different ways, not necessarily better, but maybe always different ways of playing them. Unlike, again, instruments like piano, saxophone, etc., where notes are specific fingers, specific fingerings, specific combinations of keys. We've got all sorts of combinations, haven't we? All sorts. There's normally an easier way to play something if you find it really hard. Just by using a different position, a combination of open strings, combination of different picking, combination of what we said already, slides, pick, slide, hammer, pull, etc. Flexibility when you when you find a really what you think of as a tricky chord, something you haven't played before, and you're thinking, I'm never going to do that stretch. Remember, the stretch is not in the fingers. The stretch is in your arm, wrist and hand position, not your fingers. Most people's fingers are about the same size and they don't open up very far, much further than that. So if I put my hand like this, I can't even reach the 3 frets higher. But if I move my wrist and arm, I can open up to hit all those frets. So it's all in the wrist and the arm, the hand, where your thumb is, etc. There's no place to put your thumb. I find on your hand is a good place, but beyond that, on guitar, there's no best place to put your thumb. As long as you're relaxed and you can play what you want to play. This isn't right, nothing is particularly right. That's a bit of a bugbear of mine. Look at Hendrix, look at Wes Montgomery. They could play a bit. And their thumbs are always over the top. Yeah, classical players' thumbs are in the middle of the back, but that's a different instrument. Much, much bigger neck, flatter fingerboard, higher action. And less rock and roll. So beware must-do advice. There are no secrets, otherwise people wouldn't put videos on YouTube, would they? The worst place to put a secret. The thing about secrets is no one knows about them. That's why they're secrets. No secrets on guitar. Vibrato, another great technique. Not for some, I know, but you can use vibrato for every genre. No reason you can't do vibrato in jazz. This thing about guitar is not doing vibrato in jazz is ridiculous. If you think it sounds good, then great, do it. Vibrato is a consistently and rather slow raising and dropping of the note pitch. Normally it goes from the initial pitch to higher and then back again. Like that. So that comes from the wrist most of the time, not the fingers, although you can do it with your fingers, but most of the time that sort of movement, unless you're Eric Clapton, in which case he does the moving the whole arm sort of up and down, like weighing a wad of cash, like that. Whereas this, different movement, B.B. King type thing, that type of thing. Vibrato is a very, very tricky technique to develop though if it doesn't come natural. Sometimes it comes natural, but we can practice it by plucking a note, or not even plucking a note, just using your fretting hand. You can use your other hand for drinking coffee, whatever, and you can practice your vibrato at the same time. Squeeze up, relax. Squeeze up, relax. That slow movement every day for about 15 minutes while you're watching telly if you want and drinking coffee. Other drinks are available. Up, squeeze up, relax. Squeeze up, relax. And if I do it quickly, that's the movement. Squeeze up, relax, on every finger. Squeeze up, relax, squeeze up, relax, squeeze up, relax. Also, use fingers in groups. Don't use the third finger on your own, otherwise you will find it very hard. If you want things to be really hard, fine, do that. But it's not a comfortable movement at all, and you're really making it hard. 3 fingers help each other. Like 3 people in a tug of war. It's stronger. And also, that is, if I must say so, that's good technique and my fingers are on the strings. That is not very good technique because I'm pulling these back. If I relax, they touch the strings. And if you relax, that's good technique. Period. The more relaxed you are, the better your technique. Until you fall asleep. Bends are just an extension of vibrato. So by practicing vibrato, we're also practicing our bend, because that is a small bend, isn't it? So practicing bends is the same as practicing vibrato, really. When you practice bends, play a note, play the higher note without the bend, and bend up to it. There's the bend note, and we can bend down again. Check the higher note, bend up to it. And we can do it by hearing the high note and doing the bend without playing. So we bend up without plucking and then we bend. So that's like a reverse bend. There's all sorts of things you can do. I don't play a lot of country stuff, but when we bend those and pluck other ones adjacent to it as well, stuff like that. Muting, one of my favourite techniques. I think I was doing that at the beginning, wasn't I, playing that? Was it the Rolling Stones, I think, yeah. I really like muting. It's nice with a bit of chug as well. Here's my chug button. Chug on. So chug. Muting is putting the side of your hand, ideally, in line with the bridge, in parallel with the bridge. So that straight bit of your hand in line with the bridge, give or take. Touching the strings very, very lightly, just as they come away from the bridge. Muting. As opposed to not muting. Great for every technique really, or maybe you don't hear it much in jazz, but I've heard Kenny Burrell do quite a lot of nice muting. But it's really nice in, I think, in like reggae, when you get some thing like sort of didn't sound like reggae, did it? But whatever. Palm muting, because it's on your palm. I mean, some people do it over the top, which is not as efficient because that part of your hand isn't straight, but it still works fine. Some guitarists mute like that as their general thing, but I have a different technique for muting. I have different techniques for different things, really. Different hats for different months, days, etc. Muting. There's also other little things as well, like what do they call it? Pinched harmonics and stuff. All that stuff. That's pinching. Just touching the string as you pluck with the plectrum with a bit of distortion, and you get that high squealy sound that gets all the dogs barking. Whoever does around here anyway. So practice your technique with this hand by playing trills to a metronome every day. Hammers, slides, combinations of hammers, slides and pulls. You can play all of your scales with hammers and pulls and slides, of course. You can play all of your scales with trills if you pick 1 or 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. You can do that. Yeah. Lots of combinations that you can use. I like just finger combinations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and combinations of 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 3, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 4, etc. I used to do a lot of that stuff. So 1, 2, 3, 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can do that exercise all over the neck. In all sorts of combinations. So there's 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, 2, 4, 3, or 1 3 4 2 1 3 4 2 1 3 4 2 1 3 4 2, etc., etc. 1 4 3 2. You can do it across the strings as well. 1 2. Which is yeah, great if you're recording soundtrack to a horror movie or something. Okay, well, I think we're going to go on to this hand. I won't say the right hand because I do teach left-handers. So this is our picking or strumming or finger-picking hand. The good thing about guitar is we have completely different techniques with your left and right hand. And you can prove that by swapping your guitar over and see if you can do a gig left-handed, because I certainly wouldn't want to do it myself. So we spend years and decades playing in our right-handed or left-handed stance, don't we? With completely different techniques for each hand. And that's great. That's the way I like it. Unlike piano, where it's just a mirror image, isn't it? Again, no golden rules, but one thing I think is really important, I'm sure everyone else says it as well, hold the pick loosely. And I will always favour between thumb and first finger, or thumb and second finger. I don't like thumb and 1 and 2. I know some people do play like that. I think Pat Metheny plays like that, and Paul Gilbert. I think fair enough. If you can play loads of stuff and you want to do that, fine. But in my experience, it really inhibits beginners when they do that, because you can't change the angle of the pick. Very difficult, unless you're playing everything very slow. Like this, we can change the angle of the pick because it's only held in 2 points, and we can move like that. Whereas like this, can't really do that. So Van Halen plays thumb too, because he uses this for all that business, tapping, tippy tappy stuff. So yeah, picking simple rest strokes, which is bread and butter, I think, to a decent guitarist. Pluck a string and rest on the lower string towards the floor. Rest, rest. So the pick is going down and stopping on the next string, like sliding down from one stair to the next, like you probably did when you were a kid. Sit on one stair and slide down to the next one, and then do it again and again and again. So rest, 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 rest. A rest stroke is a mini strum. So when we strum, slow down is actually rest, 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 rest. But of course it's so quick that we don't really hear that. So a rest stroke is a mini strum. And it means you can have a really relaxed hand position with your fingers on the guitar if you want. And in my opinion, all decent guitarists have done rest strokes. Especially in the blues and rock world, especially the blues, Hendrix, people like that. Wes Montgomery did rest strokes all the time with his thumb, but they're still rest strokes. So he would pluck the string, always rest on the lower string. As opposed to a free stroke is where we pluck and our plectrum is not touching another string. So it plucks and then comes away. With alternate picking, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you do it really lightly, those are free strokes. But if you do it heavy, we'll often get a rest on the lower and upper string. Or we'll only rest on one string, in this case the upper one. Or in this case the lower one. And then probably neither. But rest strokes are primarily for single direction picking. Down, underrated technique, rest strokes. You can play everything with rest strokes, everything. Apart from alternative picking, you can't play alternative picking with single rest strokes because they're single. Nothing wrong with being single. So I would advise to aim to master rest strokes initially. Make it your bread and butter way of playing. It's a very positive way of playing. We can pluck really hard with rest strokes. Because our plectrum is always the same distance from the string because we're resting on the lower string. So strings are equally spaced, aren't they? So when we rest, our plectrum is always the same distance away from the string we've just plucked. So that means consistency is what we get from rest strokes. Strumming. As I said, strumming is pretty much a group of rest strokes played quickly. We all know what strumming is. To practice strumming, to get good at it, I would recommend all down strums initially. You can play every song pretty much with all down strums when you're strumming. Even the faster bits is very good practice to do quick down strums, nothing wrong with that. If we can do that, we can automatically do up strums, because what happens every time we do a down strum? Our hand comes up and we do another one. So when we do down strums, we're doing up strums as well. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. All we got to do is catch the string on the way up, and we're doing alternative strumming. Obviously we can strum twice as quick with alternative strumming because we're catching the strings on the way up. So we've got there and back, like a return ticket. We go there and come back. Alternative strumming can be very quick. But stylistically, it really is just a case of being musical. Sometimes just down strums might be the best thing for the music in question, depending on what music is. Anything that's too quick for down strums, obviously we have to do alternative. Down and up strumming. Yeah. Something quick like that, like funk stuff, we have to do alternative picking, otherwise it's impossible, isn't it? But there you go. Some people don't play funk. Fine. Finger picking. God, we're covering a lot here. Finger picking. Finger picking is, well, picking with your fingers. So, picking hand, again, picking hand, whether it's your right or your left. My basic start place is thumb, 1 and 2. So, lots of patterns with your thumb, 1 and 2. So, don't want to get into details, but it's just a combination of your thumb and the first 2 fingers. Any combinations that sound good. Generally a good place to start is to cover 2 strings with your thumb, so there I was going A string and D string with thumb, and I was plucking the G and the B strings in between, both together. That's just one pattern. You can make up all your own patterns using that 4 string under 3 fingers combination, and your thumb, being the strongest finger on your hand, can play 2 notes, normally alternating we'll play two strings alternating either to a higher string or to a lower string. Lower string, higher string. Little runs as well. So loads of combination. Loads of combinations, you can make them all up. But they're all, of course, they're all online, aren't they? All these guitar secrets are online. But I find you can do everything pretty much with thumb 1 and 2. You can use the third as well, but finger picking gets, it sounds great with just 3 fingers, I think. There's a lot happening there, especially when you're changing notes with your fretting hand as well. It's something I didn't mention earlier. A good picking exercise, for alternative picking, not rest strokes. One that I particularly like because it's it's tricky little so and so. Plucking 3 notes over 2 strings. So down, up, 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 down, up. The reason that's tricky is every time we get back to the first note, it's on a different direction stroke. So we've got down, up, down. There's our 3 notes, and then the next, then we repeat. It's up, down, up. So it gives us all our. It gives us our what's called inside picking. Every time we do that exercise, we're doing inside picking every other 3. So down, up, down. That up, down from the D to the G is called inside picking because we're below the D, picking up, and then we're above the G, picking down. So our plectrum is between those 2 strings. And that's generally a harder technique than outside picking, where we're above the D, below the G. So our plectrum is moving in the direction of the next string. Whereas when I start with an upstroke, I'm moving away from the next string that I want. So we're constantly having to sort of reverse and come round, like overshooting. That's called inside picking, and that generally makes the most amount of problems on guitar when you play something that's just a little bit too quick. It's normally that combination of inside picking where people fall apart. Some people teach or some people play specific numbers of fingers on each string so that you can avoid inside picking, but I don't like that really. I don't think it's very musical. I like to be able to play whatever comes along, but it's always hard when you get a combination that's inside picking. It's just one of those things. When you're improvising, you don't know necessarily the picking that's going to come along. It just comes along. If you stick to a certain number of fingers per string, you're not exactly improvising there really. I did a video on improvising, and improvising is basically making stuff up, isn't it? Making stuff up, that's it. Literally making stuff up, and using your technique on guitar to hopefully get you through it, and getting some good product at the other end. If not, you can always do another take. So that's one of my favourite desert island techniques. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Any odd combination of notes. Those are 3 notes, aren't they? 3 notes. We've got a down and an up. We've got 2 directions to pick, and we've got 3 notes. You can do it with 5 notes as well. So. Up, down, up, down, up. Sorry. Down, up, down, up, down, up. There you are. That's where it changes. Tricky. Another little bit of advice, I would say. You don't have to take it, but I think it's good advice. If you're going to play with a plectrum, use as many picks as possible. If you get a bit bored with something, or you've hit a bit of a brick wall, or you can't play something, change your pick. Use a different pick. doesn't matter whether you find it harder or easier, just change your pick, get used to different types of picks. Thick, thin, big, small, different colours, etc, etc. Use different picks. I find they encourage you to play as well if you've got a desk with picks on, or you've got various plectrums in your pocket. Saying that, I did use jazz threes for about 10 years, but not so much anymore. Plus they're cheap and they're great as a Christmas present. Yeah, I would say that's probably about it for just an overview of all the techniques that I can think of offhand. Maybe I'll think of some more when I have another coffee, but we'll see. Okay, thanks for coming. Another thing. I was going to add. What was I going to add? We have techniques with. Muting. That was it. Muting. Muting is particularly good when you've got an echo box or a digital delay, as is the technical name. So we can do muting with a delay, and we get a really distinct sound, a crisp, distinct sound. Hopefully, saying that. It's a muted sound as opposed to. So it's great for use with distortion, and in my experience, a lot of guitarists are not that great at muting, especially when it comes to full chords. So when they're playing right across the neck. Right across the neck, need to get the angle right with your plucking hand, not your right hand. Sorry, all you left-handers out there. Yeah, there you go. So I think I used to be really into echo, not so much anymore. Really nice for all that arpeggio stuff. U2 as well, of course, did loads of really nice stuff, I think, with echo. With or without you. That was quite nice as well. Anyway, I digress. Bye bye.